Ranjana Jajana Ranjana Yam Tiara Banacha Ijaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari. Right. There. Is it working? Can you hear me now? This book here, fourth canto of Sri Tom, and we will be lecturing on this book, but not until next year. Stay tuned. Next year. Until Tuesday, right? Or next year. Let's see. So, we're reading about Fiji. I was talking about how chanting, live peacefully in the temple, eat and sleep, that much they have got. That is a success. That success they have got. But this was condemned by my Guru Maharaj to earn some money by showing a deity in the temple.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Is it working now? Okay, good. This was condemned by my Guru Maharaj to earn some money by showing the deity the temple and eat and sleep. Better you become a sweeper in the street and earn your honest livelihood and live. Many temples in Vrindavan had the same mentality, he said. They think of the operation of the temple as a business. And if people are coming, they give something that is good income. According to the temple's popularity, they think this is our success. Therefore, they are deteriorating. So this is not success. Success is his who is pushing forward the preaching method, and that is his success. And if we think that by showing a temple deity, we get some money and rice and cloth, and just peacefully live here, don't bother about going to Fiji all over. That much success they have got. But that is not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prachivite yachayata nargati gramar sarvatre pachara. What they are doing from that is the point. What if a disciple, what if sometimes a disciple, he may go to preach, but he's not preaching the exact same spirit as his spiritual master? Let's see what else we have here, just to see what's here. Guru Kripa wanted to know, therefore, he is not to preach, Srila Prabhupada said. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Janma Satarakari Kara Para Upakara. Go to do good to others. First of all, you do good to yourself. First of all, you become really preacher, then go to preach. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never sent neophyte to go to preach. For neophyte, the preaching is not their business. For neophyte, one should stick to the worship of the deity in the temple. And those who have understood the philosophy, applied the philosophy in his life, he should go on preaching. Otherwise, he'll preach wrongly, like Charanadas Babaji, and it will stop. He wanted to preach, but he did not know how to preach. And therefore, after his life, it is finished. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not say like that you remain a rascal and go to preach. No, Janma Sartarakari. Your first business is that you make your life perfect. Then you go to preach. Perfect means you learn how to obey my orders. That is perfection. Amara Aganaya. So if you are actually perfectly carrying out the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you are preaching. Otherwise, you will do wrongly mislead. Don't do that. Andaratara upaniyama. If you remain blind, don't try to lead other blind men. That is misleading. First of all, open your eyes. Everything is there. Nobody can do anything whimsically. If you do whimsically, concoctedly, that will be failure. It will not be effective. Prabhupada again repeated that to simply achieve a large following is not a sign of success. There are many who claim a following, but their followers do not abide by any philosophy. Christ said not to kill, but the Christians are all meat eaters. So where are the true Christians? Prabhupada asked. The real thing, he says, is quality, not quantity. It was the concern of our own spiritual master, and it is his also. My Guru Maharaj used to say like that, if I get at least one quality disciple, then all my labor will be successful. From the very beginning, my strictures are there, that you have to follow this quality. If I were to say, no, you can do like Vivekananda, yes, you can do whatever you like, then I think the quantity would have been very big. But I don't say. I make him promise before the fire, the deity before the guru. Prabhupada is quite sure of what he wants in his disciples. And he used one of his favorite examples to impress upon us what he is looking for. One moon is taken into account. One who takes account of millions of stars. Tamohanti nacha tari sarila. Quality. So we should be quality devotee, not quantity. As for the mass following, he compared such followers to the lambs at slaughter time. If one lamb is induced to enter the slaughterhouse, all the rest follow without question. They do not mind. They do not mind. One has to go. They'll go. So this is called in Hindi, Bheda Vashana, without any consideration. One has entered, let us all enter. This is Bhedi, means animals. Their disciples are like this. So Prabhupada gives many instructions. We're trying to give the whole world Krishna consciousness. And at the same time, the people who are preaching and disciples should become very Krishna conscious. So what is it? We are trying to give the whole world Krishna consciousness? Or we want the disciples to be strict? Which one? Both. Because what happens is, it's kind of like opening a school. The end goal of this, that Prabhupada is giving is that he wants people to become pure devotees, free from all material desires and envy and all the things that are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. One who is not envious but a kind friend to all living entities, who doesn't think himself a proprietor, who is equal in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, these kinds of things. But it's a process. We don't get there right away. Our spiritual progress is compared to a plant. We plant the Bhakti Lata Bija, just like if you have a mango tree. You plant a seed today, and tomorrow you pick mangoes? Does that mean it's a failure? No, it just is not complete yet. So like Prabhupada says about different processes, there are different degrees of success along the same path. So we don't water down what the ultimate success is, but at the same time, we allow people to take it in whatever degree they can. We tell people in the beginning, Prabhupada says, we go in like a needle and come out like a plow. We don't tell people, you come and join and do what we do. Tell them first, come and watch what we do. See what you think. Take a book home with you. Come and eat the prasadam. Watch the Ratha Yatra. So we can have both things going on simultaneously. Is that we don't drop the standard. We find that in Christianity, what they want is they'll bring the standard down, but they'll also make it so everybody has to go to church on Sunday. Now, for the beginning people, we don't make such a stricture. If someone lives in a temple like a monk, they have to follow a program. But if people come just once in a while, we're happy. But is that enough? No, but we're happy with at least they're started. Then we move them to coming more regularly. And we move them to chanting on beads. And then some people come every day. Some people live in an ashram. So we have both these things going on simultaneously. Just because the standard for initiation means that we have to follow regulative principles and chant at least 6 rounds a day. Was it 6 or 60? 16. Oh, okay. I thought it was 60. That's would be a lakpati. A lakpati, actually that's about 57 3/4, I think, of 58. Because 1,728 names in, if you chant one round, is 1,728 names. So if you chanted 60 rounds, it would be about 102,000. So I guess it's about 58 and a half. But they say it's 60. Actually, 64 comes to I think it's 1,111, maybe something like that. Is that what it is? God, multiply 64 by 1,728. Yes. Yes. So that's what it says. If you chant 192 rounds, that's like 333,000 names. Which Haridas Thakur, if he chanted 192 rounds, he'd chant as many in a month as someone does who chants 16 rounds. So that may be an end goal, but it may be very difficult. But we want to create both these things simultaneously. Prabhupada is saying for the people who go and preach and the disciples, he wants the people who are fixed in their consciousness. But he said in the beginning, he didn't introduce the regulative principles. He just got people to chant. And then when they want to know if there's more, Prabhupada did that with, in New York in the beginning, they would come and they would eat the food and chant and they'd go away. And finally said, can we help you with this, Swamiji? He says, oh, I'm glad you asked. Then he said, they said, is there more that we need to do to become more Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada says, yes, I'm glad you finally asked. So Prabhupada wants to create people who are ready. That's why, so that people don't backtrack. Someone should wait 6 months before being initiated. And if someone's going to be initiated, which is important? To find, do they follow Prabhupada's teachings? Or do they find somebody new who can initiate them? Which one is it? But don't they also come in conjunction? But in the beginning, you follow Prabhupada's teachings. Because if you don't know what Prabhupada's teaching, then how would you know which guru can guide you in it? Right? It's like if you say, go learn cricket from him. And he says, okay, in cricket, you grab the football and you throw it to the running back, and he grabs it, and that's how you play cricket. Now I've learned how to play cricket, right? Is that true? But he's training me how to play cricket. What was my problem? I didn't find out what cricket was. So he trains me in something different. I said, no. He told me this was cricket, and so I'm learning it. So when we approach the spiritual master, we inquire submissively and render service. We don't have blind faith, but we also don't have blind doubt. What do they call that? One of my relatives wrote that. Contempt prior to investigation. If you told someone about a cell phone 100 years ago, they would think, oh, such a thing is not possible. So we don't want to have blind faith, but also we don't have blind doubt. So Srila Prabhupada wants both things to go on, that we give the mass to the people, because if somebody does at least a little Krishna consciousness, then his next life is guaranteed to be human. And we kind of have to have a balanced approach. We have a very intense standard of what it means to become completely Krishna conscious. But if someone isn't reaching that, we want to be satisfied with what people do while encouraging them to do more. It's a way. Sometimes people are in a temple. I heard there was one temple where the one woman was running it, and someone else came in and was trying to make the people do more than they were doing. And there were people who'd been doing a steady amount of service for like 15 to 25 years. And even if it's true they could do more, to try to push them to do more may be counterproductive. It may be more happy to see what they're doing. So the idea is, like Prabhupada wrote in a letter to Karandar, that the leaders must be careful to bring out the spirit of devotion, which is independent, voluntary, and self-motivated. He says, but this is what the expert leaders have to do to make somebody want it. How long do you have to chant 16 rounds? Until you want to, and then you don't feel like you have to anymore. Do we say, oh, I have to eat a feast again? Do they say that? Or they say, oh, we get to have a feast. They say, I have to? Oh, I have to receive a big basket of money. I have to do this again? So when we want to do something, we don't feel like we have to. We feel like we get to. There's a difference, isn't it? And this is what Prabhupada is trying to instill. But he wants them to know that if people are initiated, it's some of the people, like in Prabhupada's godbrothers, some of them would give initiation very cheaply. But then the trouble is that people don't even know what the initiation means. And we object to this, because if someone's initiated, and then if they get Brahmin, then they come from the other groups and they want to do Pujari service here, but it may not be the same standard. It's just like if in one country you say you go to a year of college and you can become a doctor, so then you take that to America. Do they accept that? No, because your standard is not the standard that they accept for someone to be a doctor. Now, why is 6 months chosen? Is this just some arbitrary feature? They find that anything someone does for 6 months sticks with you. It's like if somebody has done something for 6 months, it sticks with them much more than if they've only done it for 5. There's something about 6 months that makes something a well-ingrained thing. Not at 2 months, not at 1 month, not at a week. So just by cheapening the initiation doesn't give the exact same result. And this is what Prabhupada is trying to say here. What if we finish this? Is there a next one somewhere? Or just keep going? During a discussion a little later in the day, George Harrison and Ravi Shankar, the famous sitarist, were mentioned. Guru Kripa recalled how they had visited Prabhupada during a visit to Vrindavan. He had told them immediately, "You are very famous, but what will you do in your next life? What is your guarantee?" With a grin, Guru Kripa said, "I don't think any other guru would have asked that." Prabhupada's recollecting Guru Kripa's earlier mispronunciation of the Guru Vastika prayers replied for the West, "Where is Guru? They are all Guru, nobody Guru, all rascals." One of the most notable features of our trip to Fiji has been the prasadam. Led by Vasudev's 2 wives, a whole team of Gujarati ladies have gathered at the house each day to prepare the most delicious and variegated meals one could hope to taste. They serve Prabhupada a virtual feast, at least 20 or 30 preparations each day. Now, if you went to this, would you say you have to take prasadam with Prabhupada, or you get to? What would you say? You get to. Prabhupada is very pleased with their efforts, and today he requested them to make some savory snacks to take with us when we leave. We asked for chidwa, a mixture of flat rice, potato straws, raisins, peanuts, and various spices, mixed with salt and sugar, and also a type of long, thin chickpea noodles. These were very carefully presented to us in sealed jars. Let's see how many more there are here. Srila Prabhupada has been taking long walks on the ocean front, accompanied by Vasudev Prabhu and his brothers, and a few interested friends. Lively discussions have ensued. Prabhupada has also been accompanied by a middle-aged local sannyasi, Swami Bhaskarañāya. For the want of the presence of any other spiritual organization in Fiji, he belongs to the Ramakrishna mission. But he is very attracted to Srila Prabhupada and is impressed with Krishna conscious philosophy. This morning, the Swami learned more about the true nature of renunciation, as Prabhupada described the mentality of the Mayavadis. He quoted an old Bengali saying, "In the room, whatever is there, it is yours. But if I lock it and I keep the key, the impersonalist claims to give up the world, but thinks that by doing so, he will become God. The first question," he said, "should be, what have you got in your possession to give up?" Impersonalists presume to renounce everything and take to wearing only a loincloth, he told us. But this is false, because even his loincloth, what to speak of his body, is the property of God. So where is the renunciation? So Rupa Goswami talked about this with the Yukta Vairagya. That means that we don't just give things up, but we use them in Krishna's service. After all, if there's a pile of money sitting in the street in a suitcase, do I decide it's mine and I keep it? Or do I decide I renounce all of this money? There's a bank full of money and I renounce it. Is that a good idea? It's better than going with a gun and deciding it's yours, though, isn't it? But how can you renounce it if it isn't yours? There's cars in the parking lot, I renounce them all. So you use one car in Krishna's service, but I renounced 50 cars. Therefore, I'm more advanced than you, because I have renounced them. So how do we renounce them if we don't own them in the first place? So if the money is there, do we keep the money for ourselves? If somehow there's an envelope of money, do we keep it for ourselves? Do we renounce it and throw it in the trash? Or do we use it in Krishna's service? Now, if we're using it in Krishna's service, then is the money being used or is it being renounced? Both. We've used it in Krishna's service and is being renounced. This is why in India some people told me that they don't trust the government, so they keep all their money in cash. I said, what does it say on the money? It says Bank of India. If you don't trust the government, then don't keep it in money that says Government of India. I said, if they want to, they can demonetize money. They said, oh, no, they can't do that. What's the proof that that's possible? Anybody know? That it happened. Once something happens, that's proof that it's possible, right? Just like if the sun came out, you can't say it's not possible. So they demonetized those notes. And there's several things that you can do with money. But why is keeping it in cash almost the worst? Because when Krishna is talking with Kali, he says you can go wherever there's illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. And Kali said, but that's not here in your kingdom. He said, okay, you can go wherever gold is being hoarded. Now, why is it mentioned being hoarded? Because there's several things you can do with money. If you use some in Krishna's service, that's good. If you support your family, this is also good. And with remainder, which is better? If you invest it in things that get a return, like putting it in a bank and investing in products, or just hoarding it in a room, which of those two is better? Investing it, because at least you're making money off it that you can use in Krishna's service, and you're allowing other people to use that money to buy a car, buy a house. The more you hoard, there's less money in the system, and therefore with that the interest rates are higher, and you're making it difficult on other people. So it's stupid to just keep it in cash. If it's invested, at least it's bringing you a return to support yourself and use in Krishna's service, and it's helping the other people out. So the hoarding of it is the worst thing that you can do, just keeping it stuck aside. It should be used for something. But we start by what we use for Krishna. There was the joke, the one person who was a drug addict said, can you give me some money for my food for my children? And the person says, oh, if I give you money, you'll just spend it on drugs. He says, no, I already have my drug money, but I don't have any money for my children to eat. So if you don't give me money, they won't eat because only the drug money is there. They actually think they feel sorry for him. There was one man in America who owns a big part of the city called Irvine, and he had children outside of marriage. And they took him to court to pay child support. And he says, no, but I can't pay child support because it costs me 20 million rand a month to maintain my house. 20 million rand, that's 240 million rand a year. If you can't maintain a house for 16 million rand a month, something's wrong, right? That's what it, and not only that, if he's saying, well, now I have plenty of money coming in, but he's using this as the excuse to not feed his children that he had outside of marriage. But needless to say, the family court probably didn't feel sorry for him. It's like people say, well, I had a house payment and a car payment. They tell him they get a smaller house and a smaller car. You have to pay your child support for your children. And if people are talking about a house payment and a car payment, he's actually expecting them to feel bad for him because it costs him 20 million rand a month, poor guy. Don't you feel sorry for him? This is what they call the crybaby capitalism. The people who are the richest want the biggest tax breaks because, they have to pay taxes. Somebody made, say, 250 million rand in a year. Say they made 300 million rand in a year and had to pay 100 million rand in taxes. And now they only have 200 million rand left. Do you feel sorry for them? Because they lost 100 million rand? Isn't that 200 million rand? How many times more is that than someone makes at the ShopRite? How much do they make in a year at the ShopRite? Some idea what is the low figure? How much? Well, how much? They make 10,000 a month or something? Too much? So 100,000 a year? The person makes the 100,000 rand a year and he just accepts that. Someone else is crying because he only got 200 million rand. Is 2,000 much? This is the crybaby Catholic, because it's what they're expecting. He was expecting 300 million, right? Whereas the person who got 100,000, he was expecting. He was expecting it, and that's what he got. So, we should not be hoarding. That is the point that's there. We convince people to use in money in Krishna's service, and then it's yukta vairagya. Let's see what's in the end here. We are visiting, Prabhupada says, we are visiting this island, he told Vasudeva, and if after a few days I depart and say, now I give it to you, that is simply nonsense talk. Everything is God's property, he said, so there is no question of possessing anything to give up. If one tries to enjoy, he's a thief. If he gives it up, he is false. Only one who surrenders to Krishna and uses everything in his service has factual knowledge. Everyone else, he said, is simply a muda, a fool. In the afternoon, after a long drive along narrow winding roads, Prabhupada spoke at the afternoon at the neighboring town of Ba. The program was held in a local theater, but attendance was very small, mostly women and children, and the crowd was quite noisy. This was our final program in Fiji, and in the late evening we drove to the small airport. Prabhupada sat in the waiting hall with Vasudeva and Upendra. He gave them his garlands and encouraged them to go on with their preaching. He is happy with their efforts so far and sees great prospects for the spreading of Krishna consciousness here. He even told them that Fiji could become the first Krishna conscious country. We departed on the 7-hour flight to Hawaii. So we don't have the Hawaii part here, but we see how vigorous Prabhupada was preaching. He said that you can't repay the debt to the spiritual master. But if you all want to try, then you can preach vigorously as I am doing. We have to think how we can bring this to other people. And part of it said you can't, like, why can't I teach cricket? Can't I? Can I get a badge that says cricket teacher? Does that make me one? I get a certificate, authorized teacher of cricket. But why can't I teach it? What? I have to know what it is, right? As far as start. And then I have to be good enough at it that I can show others what to do. I can take their money for the cricket school. And then when they show up, I'm gone, right? But so first we have to get it ourselves. So it's a delicate balance, because Prabhupada also says, work now, samadhi later. So a good thing to have is that we have the morning devotion, and we do different things in the morning. There's many things we do. What are some of the things we do in the morning? What things we have here? What? Mangal Artik, then what? Tulsi, then what? And what else? What? Japa. And we have class? Now, which one is the most important of all those? What? After class? The prasadam. No. Which one of the other practices? Which one of the other practices is important? Japa. This is the only one Prabhupada mentions at initiation. Because sometimes people are not able to come to Mangal Artik. Sometimes they can't make it to class. Sometimes other things to take care of. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that of sacrifices I am the eating of prasadam. No, he does mention patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhakta prayachati, that one should offer me a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water with love and devotion, and I will accept it. But he says of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, japa. So we try to keep these important. We keep the Sanskrit alive, because otherwise it would be easy to misinterpret them. Like I say, patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhakta prayachati. Krishna said patram means meat, right? It says to offer me meat. So it's pretty hard to change that. Did they do that in the Bible? See, in the Bible, they translated the Greek into Latin. And then when the King James Version, they didn't go back to the Greek. They just go to the Latin and translate that to English. And people miss the whole point. The governor of Texas said that if English was good enough for Jesus, it should be good enough for the Mexicans. But what's the fallacy in that statement? Rick Perry was his name. What's the fallacy in that statement? If English was good enough for Jesus, it should be good enough for the Mexicans. What's the fallacy? Yes, that's right. But the Bible's in English, so he must have spoken it in English, right? Now, there's in the English version, it says that Jesus gave the people meat. But did he give them meat? The Greek, the original, says that Jesus gave the people bromide. That means food. And they translated that to mean meat. It's just like if I say, he says they said they're serving food. And someone asks you, what did they say? He says, they said they're serving meat. But it isn't what was said. That's why I say something's lost in translation. That's what's lost there. Bromide does not, ask a Greek person. No, bromide doesn't mean meat, it means food. So I guess that's why the Greek Orthodox separate from the others, because they're reading the original version. So which do we read, the original version or the English translation? We read both, because we need the English for ourselves. But when we keep that aside, if we use that patram pushpam phalam toyam, nobody can say that one of those items is meat, can they? But if we just translate it to English without the Sanskrit, what is it? Okay, if we just translate the Sanskrit to English without giving it, you could say, Krishna says, offer me a leaf, a flower, meat, and water, and I will accept it. So well, it's right there in Bhagavad Gita, see? But if you mistranslate it, and this is what Prabhupada is saying here, is that things should come down from the Guru. Now, tomorrow is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disappearance day. And we'll talk a little bit about this and why Prabhupada is the follower of Bhaktisiddhanta. And some of the things that he did is like Prabhupada said, if the Guru has an idea, but you have something different. You know, the ways you may present things, like devotees said, we get thrown out in airports, can we go in ordinary clothes? And Prabhupada says yes. So certain things may be different, but they're still bona fide. But to present something that's different, it's like for our initiation, we say it's 16 rounds. Some groups get them initiated at 4 rounds. Can we encourage people to chant 1 round, 4 rounds, and 8 rounds? Can we? Yes, but we can't call it an initiation. Just like somebody says they want to date a woman, then they're going steady, then they get engaged. But none of those are marriage, are they? So they can do that. They have, like in the Bhakti Vriksha, they have the different stages. One person chants 1 round and he's a total vegetarian. They move to 4 rounds and they don't take intoxication. And they move to 8 rounds and they gradually move themselves up. But you can't call this an initiation. So there is scope for encouraging the things. It's just like you can go to school and you can go to the 1st grade and the 2nd grade and the 3rd grade and you're progressing. But at the end of 3rd grade, you don't get a high school diploma, do you? You may get a certificate that says you graduated the 3rd grade. So they do have in some of these a shiksha ceremony that they acknowledge that someone has agreed to do 1 round or 4 rounds. The difference is this isn't a vow. It's something they've agreed to do. But it gets them used to the idea. Just like in sales, you say, it would be good to have a car that gets good gas mileage, wouldn't it? And you say yes. It would be good to have a car that's free from dents, wouldn't it? And you say yes. You get them used to saying yes. So you get people used to making agreements. Because then when it's initiation, it's more than an agreement, it's a promise. Just like when you buy the product, now they have to sign on the dotted line, and that's different than agreeing that something's a good idea. But by getting people to agree to things, you get them in the mood of it. So there's scope for this, but we don't call it an initiation. And that's where we miss out. Sometimes some of those try to take our people. We can have a shiksha ceremony where we say now anybody who chants 4 rounds can be called, one is a sevika, and then when they chant like 8, they're a sadhaka. And there's scope for doing this. There's no problem in this, right? But we can't call it diksha. But there's no problem with encouraging people and giving them a certificate. Now they're chanting 4 rounds or 8 rounds a day. Generally here you get people started with just a few, or many people either chant 16 or not many. Or there are a few people that come that chant 1, 2, 4, 7. Yes. So this is good. Sometimes it's better to start someone right away with 1 round than it is to say after some time you can chant 16. Just like we get people to start studying these books and start getting the idea in mind. And what we want to do is encourage people to want it. What some of the other groups did was that they would go, we need to get you initiated. Let's get you initiated. Well, now you're initiated. It's just like they say that, one of the forms of marriage is that you put a garland. But if you take a garland and put it around a woman and say, well, now we're married, does that work? Can you take her to court and say, now she's your wife? No, they exchange the garlands in marriage. But that's why men and women don't give each other garlands, because it's a form of marriage. But you can't just throw a garland on a woman, consider that she's married. So this is what some of them try to do with the initiation. But we can do that as a shiksha ceremony, where we get people started, rather than telling them after some time you can chant 16. Because once they're chanting 1, it's easier to chant 2, and then 4, and more. Do we stress that here? Do we have japa programs or talk about it? It's funny, some of the ones like in Vrindavan, they announce the bookstores. And of course they get a crowd. We can't compete with that, but they they do all the things to encourage people into Krishna consciousness. We have initiation ceremonies, of course, even sannyas ceremonies. We have people doing deity worship, and the deities are there for people to see. They serve leaf cups of khichdi, and they sell prasadam. And they get people, like after the Mangalarti, they get them to go and chant 1 round, and they sell many books. And they announce it. And on many days, especially in Kartik, they distribute somewhere between 1,000 and 2,500 books, because so many people have come. And they get more than 1,000 people to chant 1 round on beads. Got to get a big crowd, right? Because if 5,000 come and you get 20%, it's 1,000. But they get them to do it at Mangal Artik or other times of the day. And many days they distribute like 25,000 leaf cups of prasadam. That means either 25,000 people had to come or they come. I mean, it's a big crowd. We can't do like that, right? But at least all these things are being done. How often would you say you get new people to chant japa here? Every day? Every week? What's that? Yes. We don't have the same crowd as there, but we have to do on our own scale. It's like the story that, and we also have to preach to people, but be a little detached. We don't know what people are going through. Some people, you give them Krishna conscious information, they take to it right away, and others it takes a little while. And Arjuna is asking Krishna, what is the field of activities and who is the knower of that field? And Krishna says, your mind and body are your field of activities and you are the knower of those. And only I am the knower of the other fields of activity. So we really have to try to understand where people are at. We don't just instantly understand. We have to see, just like we learn what the four kinds of people are who approach Krishna. And say, well, what's the difference? Because they're all supposed to surrender. But one person is in search of ending distress. One person is in need of money. Someone else is inquisitive. And someone else is in search of knowledge of the absolute truth. It's like say, well, if you're sick, you just go get pills, right? Yes, but you have to find out which pills. So it's true. You present it to them, but depending on what their condition is, you may present it in a different way. If the person shows up in a brand new Rolls Royce with a beautiful wife and 3 healthy looking children and they come in smiling, do you say that if you're in need of money, you should surrender to Krishna? Would you say that? Will they just look at you funny? Is that the right message? It is, but not for that person. So first we have to understand something about them. And we have to be a little detached about how they take it. And we have to give it to people in ways that we can get people to increase. Part of the way where Prabhupada had the success is God Brothers would go and give a lecture to people who already know something. And yes, this is good. But he wouldn't move them farther. The idea is wherever people are at, you want to move them farther. So what did Prabhupada do? Talk to new people or move them farther? Both. But he went on the idea, just like Narada Muni, when he was talking with the hunter. Prabhupada says you go in like a needle and out like a plow. What was the first thing that Narada Muni asked the hunter to do? What? Don't half kill the animals, because he was half killing animals and they were suffering. So he said, don't half kill them, just completely kill them. Does this sound like it's a good thing? But you have to get them started somewhere. Like if someone says, oh, I eat anything and everything. I say, well, can you just stop eating the cow? Are they ready for initiation? No. But you have to find out where you can get people started. Like we get them started with 1 round a day. If someone is drinking alcohol, then maybe we get them to drink a little less. Sometimes that's the case. But if somebody has an addiction to it, if they drink 1, there is no 1. They have to drink many. So then they're directed not to drink at all. That's the ultimate goal, but for those people, they say they'll have 1, but it doesn't work that way, because then they're in the mode of ignorance and they get a craving for it. So we have to know the person's condition. You'd say, just moderate it. I'm thinking of killing myself. Well, just do it in moderation. So we have to know what the condition is. So he told him something simple there. It's funny, once I asked Jayapataka Swami, he had the one disciple that in Bangalore, this was many years ago before they even had a temple. And I said, he seems to ask more from you than he wants to give. How do you reconcile this? He says, sometimes I have to think like when the Swami went with his begging cloth and he went to the miser's house and the miser threw coal in his cloth. And the sannyasi says, thank you so much. And the miser says, how can you thank me? I threw coal in your cloth. The sannyasi says, well, you're such a miser that any giving you do at all is good. It doesn't even matter what it is. This one guy came in at the 22nd Second Avenue, and he came with some rolls of toilet paper, and he was looking very disheveled, and he went in the bathroom, and he put a roll of toilet paper there, and he put the others on there so that there would be toilet paper. Prabhupada says, thank you very much. It's a small gesture, but he started with something. So that's the main thing. We get people started, get them to say the mantra once. Quite often Vaisheshika does that with books. Well, just say the mantra one time, chant with us. Or get them just touch the book. And he gets them, like in the old days, think which is easier. When we get people to go on books, he says, just go out with the other devotees. Because generally if they go in teams, there's one who's experienced, one who's middle, and someone. Just go with them and watch them. Okay, after watching them a while, try to distribute one book. And just go with them. Whereas in the old days, one Swami used to tell them, you go out, they had a quota, maybe like 5,000 rand or 7,000 rand that they had to collect in one day. And he'd say, pick it to the bone or don't come home. If you give somebody new a box of books and say, okay, we're dropping you here, now you collect 5,000 rand. Would that maybe be difficult for someone new? Don't they need to ease into it? So this is the whole idea. Prabhupada says in the purport in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita that it's a long road from the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga. So we have to simultaneously get people started with something very easy. Yes, they stopped eating beef. Yes, they're chanting 1 round a day. And at the same time, be tolerant of wherever they're at, but try to, for their own good. We want to give them to practice it because we know it's good for them, not just because we like to see people doing what we're doing. I take up cricket, now everybody has to play it because everybody has to do what I'm doing. Now that I'm not playing cricket, nobody needs to bother. But if I take it up, you all better be playing it too, because everybody needs to do what I'm doing. And that's not what it is. We want people to do it because we're serving Krishna and it's good for them. Okay, we'll end there. Any questions or comments? You get the idea that we want to be tolerant with people, but at the same time think of ways and means that we can encourage them to want to improve? Is that the mood? So they want to improve, they'll do it on their own, or they'll ask us questions about how to do it. If we're trying to get them to do it just because we want them to, it will be different. All right? So tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about Bhaktisiddhanta. Maybe someone can sing the Yaya Nilo Premadana tomorrow? Who's really nice at singing? There was one, years back, there was one that used to sing. He can sing it? There was one woman that used to sing. The feast back then started at I think 3 o'clock and 3:30 there was chanting, and 4 there was the class, and 5 there was artik, and 5:30. But at like 4 o'clock, one woman was singing. She sang really nicely. We're thinking years back. It had to be before 2018. Who was that? Very nice voice. Subhadra, is she still here? Can we get her to come tomorrow to sing Yaya Nilo Premadana? Can we try? If she doesn't come, other people will be here, right? What's that? Who's here? But if she's here, that would be nice. And we have it in a songbook somewhere? I can pull it up? Yes? We'll put it on a projector. That would be good, yes. Okay, we'll put it on a projector. Are you in charge? We're all going to leave and leave this in charge of you. And you can build it from here. How's that sound? Do you think that, how old are you now? How old? 23. That happened to me at 19. I woke up and I was an assistant to the Swami. And the note said, Dear Kshudi decided to split. He did take the $2,000 we collected with him, but he did leave me with a $15,000 debt to the book fund. So you can't say he didn't leave me with anything. But I woke up, all of a sudden, it's like you wake up and there's a note. Decided to leave. It's all your responsibility now. Could you do it? No. We have to think how we could do these things if that happened. We'd take a little responsibility by like telling people about Krishna consciousness. It can be as far as giving a lecture on the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam, to showing them where the deities are, to showing them where the Maha Mantra. We don't have the Maha Mantra written here. Is there a reason for that? We should have it written there so people can see it. Can we do that? I'm surprised it's not there. I just realized we don't have it written there. In most temples, it's like right there that way for new people, you say, that's the mantra we're chanting. It's like, we'll put the one on the screen. If that's there all the time, new people come in, they see it. You can put it here or there, or up here, or anywhere. We'll think of that, huh? I'm surprised it's not there. Did we ever have it there? No? Can we put it up? What's that? Yeah, it's a good thing to have there. Because especially, we have so many props to explain Krishna consciousness here. All the pictures, Prabhupada, the deities. And if the mantra, in most temples, it's there in Vrindavan, in English and in Hindi. You know why they don't put it in Afrikaans there? No one in Vrindavan speaks Afrikaans. But it's a great preaching tool, and for people who are new, even if they don't know all the other mantras, at least they see the Maha Mantra there. No one has any objection to that, do they? We'll ask about it, huh? What's that? We'll just put it up, see if anybody objects. We could put it like on a board, especially if there's lots of new people. We have so many things to show them. Like the screen that's out, there's a screen that's out there. But we can do the Yaya Nilo Premadana tomorrow. Not with me singing, my voice is not so good for singing. They usually only want me to sing when it's time for everyone to go home. Then I start singing, everyone doesn't like my voice and leaves. All right, thank you also for being here.